I was a 19 kilo and a 68 whiskey, which means I was a tank crew member.
Right?
And then later on, I became a combat medic. Both of my deployments were as a combat medic with 127 Infantry. An interesting fact about me is that I have 2 Great Danes. I actually have 2 Great Danes, 3 guinea pigs, 2 turtles, 3 of my own children, and a wife. So we have a pretty busy household out there. Part of that interesting fact is I didn't necessarily want any of our animals, but we got the dogs because our family has always had the dogs, and all of the other animals came home from school. So some of you are probably familiar with that. So East Sales, Massachusetts, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but our veterans program is less than a year old. We started with information referrals to make sure that everybody is aware of the different programs that are out there, and I try most of these myself that I qualify for. So here there's some skydiving going on, there's fixing a tank, there's a motorcycle ride, there's me at the Taylor Swift concert, and there's some pictures of some cars that we made. So out of all of those, the Taylor Swift concert was probably the most intense for me. We offer a lot of educational programming, awareness project, working groups, limited financial assistance to those living in Worcester County that don't necessarily qualify for needs-based assistance. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. All of our presentations, whether it's this benefit overview, or whether it's a budgeting seminar, or whether it's an addiction working group, or a female veterans group, fall into at least 2 of 8 major areas of focus: emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. Some of you are familiar with this model, some of you aren't, but it's a really good model when you're putting programs together. Today we're going to focus on intellectual, recognizing creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills, and social, developing a sense of connection, belonging in a well-developed support system. No matter what I tell you today, and no matter what experience I share with you, working with each other and becoming familiar with what's here locally is probably the best chance that you have to find exactly what you need and exactly what you're looking for, because your neighbors have way more experience than I do in Sturbridge and the surrounding towns. So for veterans programs, you're going to talk about the 4 major categories: federal, state, municipal, and philanthropic. And as a disclaimer, this is intended to be a general overview of what's available. It's not a comprehensive list, there's more out there. This isn't a comprehensive statement of all of the eligibility requirements. You need to look at each program specifically to find out all those little things that may factor into a qualification decision, and all of this information is subject to change. So on the federal benefit side, we're going to quickly go over disability, GI Bill, healthcare, non-service connected pension, aid and attendance, home loans, and some other programs. The best resource to find information about and usually apply for any federal benefit is on vets.gov. I also listed e-benefits because vets.gov in many cases will link to e-benefits. So vets.gov is the place to start. This is what vets.gov looks like, and you can see there's 4 major categories: healthcare, disability, education, and records. So you can do everything on here, from apply for post-giant 9/11 GI Bill, to get a veteran ID card, to file for your disability, or enroll in healthcare. VA disability is probably one of the least understood. There's a lot of hesitations when people go to apply for VA disability for the first time, because there's a feeling of no disability. And honestly, disability is the wrong word to put to it. And the way it was explained to me when I was leaving the Army was that it's not so much as a disability, but when we're in the military, we go through some sort of personal change, that we leave the military different than the way that we came in. And so that change is really what that disability is. So you're not disabled, it's not even necessarily a negative term. It's how you've changed from when you went out to when you came home. And in most cases, if nothing else, most people will experience some sort of hearing loss, right? Because we do a lot of weapons training on the range. We do a lot of loud activities. So there's usually some sort of hearing loss in there. Later on, as long as you have that hearing loss diagnosed and on record with the VA, you'll qualify for free hearing aids, right? And so you'll have your audiology test, you want to get hearing aids. And we might not think it's important now, but later on in life, and I know this through experience with working with a lot of the World War II and Korean War community, those become invaluable. So the VA disability ensures that your service-connected injuries, illnesses are medically covered, whether it's your hearing loss, back pain, knee pain. You want to get that all recorded and on file. It provides a tax-free monetary benefit between $0 to $3,051.13 with additional compensation for the benefit. So the rating system goes in stages of 10%. So you might be rated 0%, 10%, 20%, all the way up to 100. Oftentimes, the VA disability rating will lead to other benefits, such as local property tax exemptions, which we'll get to shortly. So with VA disability, you can apply online, or you can get local assistance. Every town in the city of Massachusetts is required to have a Veteran Services Officer. Sometimes he or she is very familiar with the benefits, how to fill out the VA claims, and if not, you have the VFW, if not, you have the DAV. There's several organizations out there, and if you're not sure who to get in touch with, you can always call me at Eastern Sales Veteran Services, and I'll make sure that you get connected. Benefits are provided without regard to income, so unlike needs-based services, these benefits are a monetary sum that's given to you monthly, and it doesn't matter what your income is, if you have $1 million a month or you have $0 a month, that benefit's going to stay the same. On the flip side, there's a long processing time. So right now, these applications are running about 4 months, and that's really fast. 6 years ago when I got out, the application time on average was 18 months, so you'd have to wait 1.5 years for the determination. Now it's 4 months. That could last longer, that can be shorter. It all depends on your case and when they get to it. Now, it's important to apply based on your medical history and not your income situation. If you're applying for disability because you're short on your monthly bills, that's not a good reason. You should address those monthly bills separately, but always apply for that disability payment. And when you do apply, list all of your chronic conditions to include hearing loss. So the stipulation is simply the disability, or whatever that medical condition is, needs to be chronic and it needs to have either incurred or been aggravated by service. Now, disability myths, I'm not disabled. You don't need to consider yourself disabled. I probably wouldn't consider you disabled. If you look at me, you probably wouldn't consider me disabled. Technically, I'm a disabled veteran. I am what I am. I don't consider myself to be disabled. Another myth is it's been too long. If you're still alive, you can apply. Other people need it more than me is another myth. I don't want to take that money because I'm taking it away from somebody else. You are not taking it away from anybody else. And if you believe that other people need it more than you, there's nothing to stop you from giving it to them. So if you want to support your local school, your library, local sports teams, take that VA benefit, give it away. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you need it, it should be there already, because if you wait, it's not going to be there when you need it. I don't know where to start. Again, you can contact me, or you can go to vets.gov and research it yourself. Either way is fine with me. We can connect you to some good resources. Really, the VA's made a lot of great strides over the years to make this an easier and easier process. And every year, they come out with something a little better. So it was a little more difficult when I got out. And when I look at it today, it's been improved quite a bit. So if you're handy with a computer, you don't mind doing a little bit of research, most of the things can be done right online. And I don't think it's worth it is another myth. If you have hearing loss, which again most of us do, and you have consistent ringing in the ears, that leads to a disability payment of about $130-something per month. If that's not worth it, that's okay. If you don't think it's worth it, nobody's going to try to force you into making the decision. Just know it's there, and then later on, maybe it'll be worth it too. Now, the post 9/11 GI Bill. This is for veterans released after September 11, 2001. Probably my favorite benefit. I used mine as soon as I got it, and it was gone within 36 months. It gives you a basic housing allowance based on school zip code. So if you go to school in Worcester, let's say you go into night school and you're taking a full course load. That pays about $2,000 a month. That'll go in your pocket. That doesn't include tuition fees. All that's paid for separately. So that's just in your pocket for going to school. If you go into the Boston area, starting at Framingham State, that's a little over $3,000 per month in your pocket. And then you have your Pell Grant, whatever other opportunities come with your FAFSA. That's all for you. Again, that's all in your pocket because your tuition, your books. Well, your full tuition is covered. You get a book allowance, you get a supply allowance. So really, that's in place there. So you can work part-time, you don't have to work at all, but you'll still have an income coming in that you can sustain yourself with pretty well. I'd always encourage you to work and go to school at the same time so you can build your resume. Yellow ribbon scholarships is another thing, as long as you're getting your post 9/11 benefit. If the school offers a yellow ribbon scholarship and you are awarded that scholarship, that's $3,000, and then the VA will match that another $3,000. So there's another $6,000 that goes to you. And again, don't forget to fill out your FAFSA. And it doesn't matter how old you are. So I still go to classes today. I'm not working on a degree. Many veterans believe that they're too old to go back to school and it's going to be an uncomfortable feeling. It's not. The class I'm taking now is, I'm in Understanding Diversity right now. And I am by far not the oldest person in my classroom, and I'm 43 years old and I have gray hair, so it's all good. You'll be good. So VA Healthcare provides a full range of hospital and outpatient care. They're highly rated in Massachusetts. And just to connect this a little bit, when I came home from the service, I wouldn't go near the VA because everything that I heard on the news was how terrible that they were, and that going there would probably cause me some lifelong hardship or disability if I even left there alive. So I was scared. I didn't want to go there at all. The VA is not like we hear, and so judge for yourself. What I would do is you can go on vets.gov, fill out a 1010EZ. It's a 2-page application. And go try it out and take a look, and then make your own judgment. But coming home, one of my priorities in my mind was to try to find an alternative form of health care for people who were only using VA. And then when I thought I came up with a good plan and I offered that plan, nobody wanted to use it because they had great things to say about the VA. So my assumptions proved me wrong. They proved me right. They had me take a closer look, and I tell you what, it's a good service. VA offers, outside of traditional hospital programs, mental health, wellness programs, alcohol, drug treatment, blind services, HIV/AIDS treatment, radiation exposure. Great social workers at the VA, and there's so much more. So if you haven't been there, I would check it out. And it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 80 or 90 or 40, you're going to find a lot of people in your age bracket. So you'll be very comfortable. The non-service connected pension is a tax-free monetary benefit for low-income wartime veterans. So you need at least 1 day of wartime service. You don't have to actually be over there, but if you were in the Vietnam War and you're a Vietnam era veteran, as long as you're in 1 day during the time period, you could qualify for this if your income is low enough. Your asset levels can actually be very high. So if you have a lot of money in the bank, that's okay, as long as your income levels are low. Unmarried surviving spouses can also receive this, and dependent children can receive this. Those 65 or older, disabled, with limited income qualify. There's a lot of additional benefit criteria, but this is a good option if you're moving, if you're struggling a little bit from month to month. You're living solely off of Social Security and you're not receiving a large Social Security payment. Aid in attendance and housebound, I almost didn't include this. I normally wouldn't include this, but because there's so much advertising around this to say this is a very little known benefit, and if you pay us so much money, we will get this benefit for you. And so I wanted to just cover it briefly. Aid and attendance benefit isn't a little known benefit, it's an add-on benefit to the pension. So if you have the veteran's pension and you require aid and attendance or the assistance of another at home, or you can't leave the house without the assistance of another and housebound, you can qualify for this as an additional allotment on top of your pension benefit. Right? One thing I didn't mention is that in the pension benefit, your non-reimbursed medical cares get deducted from your income. So even if your income is a little bit high and you're not being reimbursed for Medicare B, that'll start knocking it down. All right, so if you want to add the aid and attendance, it's not a secret program. There's nothing magical about it. You just go to your doctor, bring the VA Form 21-2680, and depending on the specifics of your case, there might be a couple of other forms. Fill that out, you send it in with your pension program, and that's awarded, or it's not. And the VA home loan. VA home loan offers no down payments, better terms and interest rates than you can usually find, fewer closing costs, no penalty for early payoffs. You can get your certificate of eligibility on vets.gov, and that will link you over to e-benefits. I don't think they've moved that over yet. But then you choose your lender and realtor, and you work with them as a team to go buy your home. Right, so shop around for your best option. If you don't have a lender or realtor, there's some recommendations I'm sure that your neighbors can make to you to find a trusted source. Now there's a lot of other federal benefits that are very helpful. Vocational training, housing adaptation grants if you need a wheelchair ramp or to overcome some sort of mobility limitation, various wellness programs, home care, hospice, and so much more. So if you're interested in something, there's a little search box on vets.gov. I would just go in there, type it in. If you have questions, you're looking for something more specific, send me an email, give me a call, and we'll talk it out. And if I don't know about it, we'll find it. So state and municipal benefits. I put these together because the state and the municipalities normally work together. So for Chapter 115, for example, the town that you live in will pay you monthly. We'll go into exactly what that is, just an example. So the town will pay you monthly, and then the state will reimburse them 75%. So there's a lot of overlap in how those actually work. Now, like I mentioned earlier, every city and town has a veteran service officer. The hours vary greatly, the services can vary greatly, but they all must cover Chapter 115 benefits as a requirement. And they should all have insight onto the local benefits and programs that are available to you. And if not, you can always give me a call. Again, I'm a resource for you. So they're the gateway to a lot of the state and local benefits for you.
What's your question?
If you're not sure, you haven't met him or her, contact your local city or town hall, and they can give you the information. So Chapter 115, it's not a very telling name, but what that does is that comes from Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 115, which covers this benefit. Now, part of that law is that every city, town in the state has to offer a needs-based assistance to veterans and dependent family members whose gross household income is 200% or less on the federal poverty level. If you're a little bit above 200% of the federal poverty level and you have a good deal of medical expenses, it's still worth applying. There's a reimbursement program that I won't get into in detail here, but as a general rule, 200% federal poverty level or lower, you're probably going to get some benefit out of this. So the federal poverty level is $2,043 gross per month, plus $720 for each additional dependent. And so you just add that together and you figure out where you're at, and if your gross is less than that, I would recommend giving your veteran service officer a call. That can reimburse eligible health expenses. So let's say you're under that and you're paying for your insurance. That insurance premium that you're paying could get reimbursed. I'm not going to say it will because you have to work with your veteran service officer, but could be reimbursed to you. Prescription costs could be reimbursed to you. This is a great benefit for seniors because the Medicare Part B that's deducted from their Social Security check will be returned to them through that town or city. And then that town or city will get 3/4 of that back from the state. If you look at the CMR that covers this benefit, it's a 108 CMR, and you go to chapter 7 or section 7, it will also cover other things. So if you're a few months behind in your utility bill, if you're you have some emergency home repairs, that can take care of some of those. If you past due rent when you go onto the program because you didn't know that it existed before today, that can help you catch up. So the welcome home bonus is something that's not income dependent. If you served, and there's separate bonuses for Vietnam and previous wartime eras, but we're going to go to post 9/11 veterans. So from September 11th, 2001 to present, if you lived in Massachusetts 6 months before you started your service, you'll get a $500 bonus from the state of Massachusetts for the first 6 months of service, right? And then if you deploy Iraq, Afghanistan, another imminent danger area, you get $1,000 for that. And then subsequent deployments to an imminent danger area, $500 each one. And then if you're in the National Guard or Reserve and you deploy to Texas to out-process soldiers and you're down there for 6 months, you get $250 for that in every subsequent 6 months. So that you can now, and this is new, you can now apply for that online. If you just Google MA Welcome Home Bonus and apply online, I haven't tested that myself, but everybody says it works. So you can probably do that and be in good shape. If you have any troubles with that, give me a shout. Property tax exemptions. So after you get your disability rating, if you're rated at 10% or more, or you have a Purple Heart, or you're a Gold Star parent, or you're the spouse or an unremarried surviving spouse, you can qualify for a property tax exemption in Massachusetts. These exemptions range from $400 to a full exemption. Most people just qualify for $400. You apply for that through your local assessor's office. But again, step one in that is to apply for VA disability first, and then that can lead to a property tax exemption. Now, the Massachusetts Veteran Annuity, if you are rated 100% disabled by the VA, or meet the requirements for blindness, paraplegia, double amputation, or other disability from Chapter 115, Section 60B, or you're the unmarried spouse or parent of a person who died from a service-connected illness or injury, that illness or injury does not have to have occurred in the service. It can have occurred when they came home, as long as it's a product of that injury or illness. You can get a payment from the state of $1,000 payable each February and August for the rest of your life. To look at that, just Google Massachusetts Veteran Annuity, and you'll be linked to the state site specifically for that. Now, philanthropic. So we're going to cover just a brief overview of the different local organizations, national organizations, VetTix because it's my favorite and I use it all the time. Discounts, community groups, and Easter sales, military and veteran services. So local organizations include places like the VFW, the American Legion, DAV, Vietnam Veterans of America, and they vary greatly from town to town. So most towns have at least one of these organizations that will go out and they'll perform color guards. They might have meat raffles or other opportunities for community engagement. Some are very active, some are not so active. We see them dwindling more and more. Most of the current veterans, the post 9/11 veterans, have moved online to do most of their social interactions, so we're not getting out quite as often. But those organizations are still moving strong in some communities. So really, they're easy to observe and engage with, and you can go down there and take a look and see what they do and see if you like it, and then if you do, definitely jump in. They really appreciate having people around. Larger organizations might be beneficial, it's depending on what you're looking for. So there's a lot of large organizations out there like Wounded Warrior Project that we hear a lot about. and those are national programs. So with those, if you're able to engage with them and they have a product or service that you like, really try to use it to see how it works. Some are going to be very easy to work, some aren't going to be so much. It really all depends on what you're looking for. But always look for tangible outcomes rather than just donation requests. To see what's the give and take of it. And if you really like their service, then go up and promote it. Tell everybody that it's really good. If it's not so good, don't go back there. So it's hard to tell, talking so broadly like this, what's going to be good and what's going to be bad. So it's really something you have to test out. So VetTix is one of my favorite things. I discovered it earlier in 2018. And what it is free tickets to local live entertainment for our first responders out there. There's also a first responder Tix. And what it is when large venues, or sometimes small venues, will donate a series of tickets to this site in which they act as a middleman, and then they redonate those to veterans. So you have to sign up for it, and you can order them online, and then I check it at least once or twice a week. And each order that you place, so for my family, I can get up to 4 tickets. Each order is between $8 and $15. So what I did over the summer, I saw Taylor Swift, I saw Brad Paisley, Kenny Chesney, Sugarland. My wife is a big country music fan. So we saw all of these. We went to Boston for a magic show at the Wang Theater. I can't even count. We did too much, but each one of these shows were $14, $15. Just make sure to budget for parking if that's included, and if you want to get souvenirs and snacks, keep that aside. But really, you can't get a better value for that. So it's a great service for us with families. You never know what's going to show up on there, so just really go have a good time, check it out, and find something you like. Try it out. It's definitely worth it. So GovX and ID Me. So GovX, you can do a Google search for that. You can find that. ID.me is the actual URL for that site. And that gives discounts on a variety of goods, services, and tickets. And actually, ID.me also has discounts for educators and first responders. So you can go on there too, and it'll verify you based on your, I believe it's email address for educators. But things that I use that for a lot, ID.me, I get Regal movie passes for $8.75. Spartan Race is 20% off, sometimes 25% off. Red Sox tickets through GovX are 10% off. So if you like doing that kind of thing and you're a shopper, it's worth looking at. But like anything else, definitely comparison shop, because sometimes a good deal from the manufacturer isn't a good deal compared to when you go to your local retailer. In organizational discounts, always check for a military discount before you go, before you pay for something, and sometimes you have to pay for it at the door. I know when we go to the Worcester Art Museum, I go in free. Old Sturbridge Village is free. Home Depot's 10% off. Lowe's is 10% off. I think is a 10% off, but there's a ton of discounts out there. If you don't have a veteran's ID, you don't need to enroll in VA healthcare, even though I recommend it. You don't need to enroll in that anymore. You can get a veteran's ID card through vets.gov, and you just take a picture, and it takes a couple weeks to come in. So you can check that out as one of their primary headings in the document section. So Eastern Sales, Massachusetts, one of the things that we did is our primary website for this program is called Veterans Count Massachusetts. So if you look that up on Facebook, you can kind of see what's going on in the major kind of fundraising section there. But if you look on the left side of that page, you go down to the group section, there will be this group called the Eastern Sales Massachusetts Veteran Community Group. And I'm constantly updating that group with different either deals that I find or programs that I just want to reiterate if you haven't used it yet. If you haven't gotten your welcome home bonus, it's almost like a reminder. Make sure you get your welcome home bonus. And information on different services that either I found helpful for me, or I believe that other people would find helpful in the community. All right, so take a look at that group, just join it, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. When I met with the Sturbridge folks at the elementary school, a lot of them jumped on it, and from what I hear, that's been helpful. So we're going to keep that going. So the current projects we have going on is we offer a budgeting class. This is an introduction to personal budgeting that I found helpful. When I came home, all the bills were tight and we were really paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. And so I talked about that and a lot of the other things I've learned over the years since I've been home. So it's just how to build a personal budget and how to live on a tight budget until your situation improves. We talk about veterans programs and specifics, how that can help where you are. And we talk about a lot of the psychological tricks. That's probably my favorite piece of the whole thing is different pricing models that people use and how when you go to the store to get a loaf of bread and you walk out with 15 items, why that happened. So what looks like a good deal or product scarcity or decoy pricing, well, that's a lot of fun for me. If you don't know what those are, just YouTube that and you'll learn a lot just on your own. Then we always go to a group discussion. And the group discussion is probably one of the most beneficial parts that you get out of everything. In April, next month, we're going to start a film project on female veterans and the service. This is a grant that was given to us through the Massachusetts State Historical Records Advisory Board. So if you are a female veteran and you have a story to tell, it can be a sad story, it can be a great story, you know, it's just a reality, whatever your reality is. We'd love to hear about it, and maybe we can get you on this. Half of it is going to highlight the woman's evolution in the military, and so as an example, during the Revolutionary War, women were considered not to be able to comprehend military strategy. So as the men were around the table, the officers were around the table, and the women were serving, the other force would use them as spies. So the woman would listen to what they said, they understood it, and they would go and report it back. Now, you go from that period of time when women weren't allowed in service to today, where women have equal access to all roles, combat or not. We have a female infantry commander in the 82nd Airborne, we have female Army Rangers. It's a lot more equal. So that's only 3 years old. That happened in January 1st, 2016, where that equal access to these roles came in place. So this is a great time to capture that evolution and tell that story. So we're looking forward to that. We're starting that in April. Another thing that we're starting here, April or May timeframe, is an addiction workshop. We know that there's a lot of problems here in the state and in the country, really, when it comes to addictive substances. So we want to try to find those things that have worked. And so we want to have people who have good successes. So if you are currently having if you're currently working through an addiction recovery, or you feel that you've recovered and you've been successful in that, and this can be last week or 10 years ago, we'd like to hear from you, and maybe you want to sit down and help us help other people, because that's what we're really trying to do, is help other people and build a better community. So I think we can come up with some good solutions based on successful experiences, and I'm really looking forward to that one, because that's a topic I think we all need to get involved in. And then Veterans Count. Again, so Veterans Count Massachusetts, you can find it on Facebook. It's a star. This is Massachusetts, red background. We organize this into chapters based on counties throughout the state. We're such a new program. We're really focused on Worcester County right now, but that's what raises the funds for us to come out and do programs. Right? So we have that makes sure that we're able to continue to address these needs that aren't commonly met throughout the communities. And in addition to that, we offer some financial assistance, again, to working families. If you're a working family, or the bulk of your income isn't coming from a needs-based program, so you're doing well, and you get thrown off by little things. And then, you know, it's March, so we know what that's like, right? Because the electric bill's a little higher, the oil bill's a little higher, and sometimes that catches up. Sometimes that overwhelms you. You just need a little bit to pay off that electric so you're not falling behind on the rent or the car payment. We can help there, and that's due to the Veterans Count program. So we do there, if you're interested in planning local events and hosting activities, or just having a good time, you know, come on down and you know, give me a call, and let's see if you want to get involved in the chapter. We can always use the help. And that's the program. So I hope everybody has a swell evening. This is my favorite military dude right here. Yeah.
What's the best way for folks to get in touch with you if they want to follow up?
So there's two ways. So I'm not hard to find. So if you Google Adam Costello Veterans, all my contact information should just pop right up. But for this, if you want to call me, it's 508-751-6312, or email Costello, ACOSTELLO, at eastersalesma.org, or you can send a message through the Facebook page. I'll get those, or yeah, there's probably 100 other ways you can do it, but I think that should give everybody a good idea. All right, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.